Okay, so after Red One, which I haven't seen, I was like came out and then not doing so well. I was like, there's always been a discussion of The Rock being an actor and stuff like that. But I was like, now I will say this is really also amongst the circles of. I was like, I've seen this and it's been like an old post or something like that. Whereas Rock, Bautista, Cena, of who is the best actor amongst the three. Now, I think this sort of depends on basically what are you watching for? What are you here for? And that type of thing. Are you wanting to see the diversity of their acting chops? Or you want to see necessarily the diversity of the movies that they're in? Do you want to see whichever movie they in and the level that they bring in those certain movies? I think there's a various amount of stuff or whatever. Maybe I'm overcomplicating at the same time. But I'm just gonna go flat out. I was like, I think if you were talking about like who is actually like the best actor, I think I probably might go with Bautista, just because I was like, I think that I like, for instance, I think John Cena has gotten better as he's gone along. I think that if you would have talked about The Rock pre trying to do blockbusters, then I think The Rock would have a really good case. I think Bautista in a short amount of time and his serious approach to it is basically what everybody sort of says of him being the best actor. I think it's the same, no difference than I was like, no different than doing music. I was like, there's somebody that's over here just trying to, make the dance music, or have like little like summer jam stuff like that. Maybe not necessarily put out an album, but over here, give you something every now and then to basically, shake a groove thing. Um, I was like, then you got the person that's over here just making. I was like, making serious music, but also maybe not getting the same like recognition stuff. And then you got the person that's over here that is over here just putting out artistic heat and stuff like that. No three heads that I'm talking about in general, but I think the different roles that Bautista tries to do gives him sort of that accolade of being the best actor amongst the three. I was like, The Rock and Cena tend to be tend to be in their same roles of stuff. But I will say that with John Cena, he does also do different movies, and I think that with him is more of the nature of not he doesn't have the same expectation. Like The Rock, you're expecting to deliver because he's a Rock doing blockbuster movies. I was like, I think that Bautista, you don't necessarily have the expectations, mainly because he's over here throwing out different roles. I think John Cena just goes underneath the radar because I think he plays a silly dude in a lot of his stuff, but they be so far left field sometimes that it's kind of like it makes sense for his characters you see in wrestling, but also considering him in wrestling and how he is sort of like very kid friendly. He is not when it comes to movies. Now, I do think that I think The Rock gets a bad rap in a lot of these situations. I was like, I know he hasn't been great at it late, or just him personally with some stuff, but I like early on. I think that he was sort of trying to check out the box. You sort of see it with Bautista as well too, of where it was standing tall or wait no walking tall, snitch faster. Um, I was like the Tooth Fairy. I was like he was doing what we sort of expect or what people want you to do when you sort of first come onto the movie scene. You're doing some of these low level roles, these sometimes roles that people think is a little bit beneath, but you got to sort of try to get your foot in the door. And I was like, doing a wide range where he wasn't being The Rock. He was sort of being like a man, but he wasn't being like The Rock with any of these. And then I think he sort of just got pigeonholed, which I think happens actually to a lot of actors, to be honest, in a lot of roles. I think the difference with him and why he gets criticized, one, because he's The Rock and he's a lot more out there of a household name in comparison to a lot of people, and he's making the money also at a high level that puts them on parallel, being like, okay, you over here with some of these like actors, but you're not doing the same type of stuff that they doing. And I was like, whereas like, and I think also he just sort of fit in this. Eventually, he just sort of got caught in the role of doing blockbusters, and I think that the wave of blockbusters and how they're being done and perceived now has sort of waned and has gotten the people in a way that's like more noticeable now. Where it's like, especially because movies aren't what they used to be, so it's like you're trying to jam pack blockbusters now in a type of way that is kind of just gets oversaturated, and they're not particularly up to snuff for what people want to do or buy. That I think is kind of like where like, can I like to be honest? If I know the Rock's in the movie, I was like differently than Bautista and Cena. I already know that's going to be here, and I know everybody done changed how mid sound, but to me, I'm like cool. I'm not going to waste 2 hours of my life. The only one that did that, to be honest, was actually Red Notice with Gal Gadot and Ryan Reynolds. That movie, I was like, I was there, and then it sort of lost me. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm always going in there. I'm just like, okay, it's gonna be a cool movie. It's gonna be fine, Whereas like Batista's, sometimes it could be like, I'm like, ooh, okay, I'm in, what's going on here? I'm into this movie. Then sometimes it's kind of like, oh, okay, he's he's on this artiste type of thing. And Cena's, I was like, I think that his, like I said, I think he's really under the radar with stuff. Where I was just like, I think that his, you gotta really just sort of just click on it and just watch it, because I was like, I think that the initial impression doesn't give it to you that it's like, oh, you come out of it actually be like, that's a good movie. I think he's sort of in a Ryan Reynolds type of way of, you always feel, I was like, where you just like, he always does sort of just do good, pretty good movie. All right, cool, cool, cool. Where like I feel like the Rock movies are delivered at such a high level that that's why you sort of get disappointed, because they come out with all the like the glitz and the glamour, the money, the budget, and then you're kind of like, you could have made this like 30 minutes shorter. You ain't have to spend the budget like that if this is what I'm gonna get. And I think that's where the disappointment comes to, more so than The Rock. I was like, we stopped getting mad at basically Liam Neeson for basically doing 18 different versions of Taken. If the Taken series is over, but you still get the gray, you still get the one where he's on the train, on the airplane. They're all the same. They're all damn same. And I was like, even then, I was like, and I was like, whereas like I feel like Bautista's going for his Denzel kind of thing, where like he sort of is the same guy in each role, but he plays them in a different way, that where you really believe that character, where you just like, yo, you that was messed up. Wait, nah, that Denzel doing a really good job, or whatever. He got to save his kid and stuff. He should save his kid. I was like, so I was like, but I just think that but I think The Rock also just had hit this point where it just kind of feels like he is just sort of just doing movies, just to be doing movies. And I know like just sort of getting the criticism of like, like people like Kevin Hart and stuff like that. But I will say that, a lot of these people that do sort of get this argument of like, oh, they just do the same thing and stuff like that. It's like when they go outside and try to do something else, y'all don't like that stuff either, even if they do a good job. So why not just stay in the lane that sort of makes money? And I was like, that's sort of where Rock is. He's over here. He's like, yo, I'm getting this money. I'm getting this cash. I'm putting out movies that I think are all right. I don't think I was like, I don't. I was like, I don't. I'm not over here looking for The Rock to be over here being like, yo, you cry, I cry. I'm not looking for that. That's not what I want. I was like, give me 2 hours where I was like, all right, that was good. I was like, cool, on to the next thing. I didn't feel like my time was wasted. I was like, that's all I'm saying. I think he just sort of, and also in this world of, with the internet, that he's going to get bashed a lot more. And I feel like, not that it's necessarily the cool thing to do to bash on The Rock with his movies, but I do also think that it's cool to point out that it's like, man, he's just the same guy every time. He gonna, and whatnot, when he just gives an eyebrow, I can't do it with that side, I must that side. And he's just gonna be the Rock the whole time. And it's like, yeah, but he's also doing roles where it's like that's what they want. So at the same time, while he has the Rock, but I was like, I was like, yeah, I know he could pick the projects and stuff like that, but guess what? They want him to be. They want him to be the Rock. They don't want him to be somebody else. Like I said, we're not looking for him to try to make me cry. That's Bautista's job. He's going to be the one that's trying to make you cry. I mean, not successful or whatever. Me personally, if you ask me, like, if I had all three of them on the board, and I was like, I'll be like, I would probably say maybe Cena just because I wasn't expecting what I get from him or whatever. But I can understand from the whole mastering the craft and all that other stuff that I was like, it's going to be Bautista with it. And like I said, I think Rock early on could have been basically on that way. But I think once he found that little niche in that lane to stick into, that I was like, I think, and it was popping out money. That I was like, who gonna tell him no? Who gonna tell him to change? And I was like, now I know he got that other movie where he's supposed to be doing something serious coming up, so we'll see how people respond to that. So after that, maybe it'll be a different conversation. But as of right now, anyway. So, but after this, I'm going to go to their catalogs and basically talk about who I think got the best set of movie. Because I think that's a different argument in all this as well too. Because I think Bautista got enough now to where he can have something to build up to. It would have been unfair if he would have just had like 2 or 3 movies or whatever outside of just like the Guardians or whatever. But anyway, what do y'all think? Or The Rock acting? Who's the best actor among the three? How do you think they movies compare? How do all this other stuff? You heard what I was talking about. Go ahead and make it ramble if you want to. Anyway, until then, peace. I'm out.